My article is called 5 Principles That Will Improve Your Organization's Decision-Making Process. It was written by Stan Silverman in July of 2018 and published in the Business Journals. The article begins by describing a situation detailed in the book The Abilene Paradox, The Management of Agreement. It was written by Jerry B. Harvey in 1974. The situation is something we've probably all been in before. A father-in-law suggests to his family that they'll all go to Abilene for dinner, and everyone agrees. At the restaurant, everyone ends up having a really awful meal. Each of the people say that they really didn't want to go to Abilene for dinner, but they agreed because they thought that everyone else in the family did want to go. Instead of sharing their reservations originally, they fell to a multitude of common group mistakes. The decision-making process described is ineffective and yields poor, undesirable results. The best course of action is not taken, sometimes not even offered, because no one was willing to speak up about their opinions. Companies face this dilemma daily, but on more complex and drastic scales, and they face far worse consequences because of it. The author of The Abilene Paradox, The Management of Agreement, writes, "The inability to manage agreement, not the inability to manage conflict, is the essential symptom that defines organizations caught in the web of the Abilene Paradox." So today we're going to discuss 8 options to change the culture of agreement and not conflict. 5 are offered by the article and 3 are offered from our coursework. And you can see in the graphic at the bottom there that the manager is standing in front of his employees and he's saying, "All those in favor say aye," and everyone says aye, but in their heads they're thinking, "Say it ain't so, you've got to be kidding, perish the thought." They're just generally disagreeing, but they're keeping it to themselves to maintain the peace or just not agree or disagree with their leader. So, the first method is establish a culture that values discussion of issues and alternatives. The key takeaway from this entire presentation is to discuss issues and alternatives. The leader of the group, example the CEO of a large organization or subunit of the organization, is responsible for establishing this organizational culture. It's critical for the leader to both welcome open discussion and then ask for opinions. This provides a time where it's not just the leader talking. If this is executed, better and different alternatives emerge. As a result, superior decisions are made. The period open for discussion, in my opinion, provides time for team members to debate their opinions and think through the options that are offered. The graphic is simple, displaying a scale that says weighs the pros and cons. A scale that weighs the pros and cons. Open discussion time and debate allow for teams to adequately weigh decisions collectively. So the next one is remain neutral until all opinions are expressed. So touching back on that pros and cons scale, the opinions of leaders carry significant weight in comparison to their team members. If these opinions are shared early, other opinions and alternatives are suggested but aren't seriously considered. If the leader has a reputation of being opinionated and not listening to viewpoints, meaningful discussion probably won't ever occur, and the best strategy will never be offered. To combat this, hold on to your opinions. Let your team talk first. After everyone in the group has discussed their viewpoints, offer yours last. This will allow for fairness in the discussion. The next one is don't make important decisions without sufficient time for individual reflection. So after you're done discussing an important decision, come back, after giving the alternatives a few days to resonate with your team members. This time really allows everyone to reflect on their position and gives them the freedom to change their mind. But it warns, don't criticize if someone does change their mind, and don't rely on the phrase, "we need to move fast on this," to speed up the decision-making process. This phrase sends red flags, that you're more concerned with meeting a deadline instead of making the actual best decision. Good decisions take time, so don't force anything important. The next one is value the lone wolf. Organizations suffer when they're populated by yes people. Yes people are reluctant to express their personal views, especially if those views are different than the leader's views. I think of Andy Bernard from the TV show The Office. Andy was a classic yes man, evident in the quote under the image that I provided. "I'll be the number 2 guy here in Scranton in 6 weeks. How? Name repetition, personality mirroring, and never breaking off a handshake." So one of the tricks to get further along in the company was to mirror the personality of the boss and be likable, be unproblematic, and be just a general neutral presence in the office, but it didn't work out for Andy in the end, and I'll save the rest of it for you to watch The Office if you haven't yet. So It takes courage to offer viewpoints contrary to what everyone else says and believes, because you might not seem like a team player, but those differing viewpoints help create the best decisions. The next one is face the brutal facts of your reality. Research in Motion, now known as BlackBerry Limited, pioneered the Personal Digital Assistant (PDA) market in 1999. They continued to control the market for devices that had email, text, and phone capabilities until Apple and Android were introduced. Let me guess, some of you have Apple and Android, not BlackBerry. Apple and Android products came with a high-resolution camera, a creative user interface, and the ability to add and control apps. All of these features significantly increased the functionality of the PDAs. BlackBerry felt secure in their own ways, underestimating their competitors' abilities to create need within the marketplace. Andy Grove, the former chairman and CEO of Intel Corporation, wrote a book titled Only the Paranoid Survive. And as you know, and you probably have, BlackBerry did not really survive in this market. They're still living, but not thriving like Apple and Android. So this is from our previous coursework, not the article any longer. I added explain reasoning and intent and discuss undiscussable issues. These last few options tie back to our previous readings. This is from 8 Behaviors of Smarter Teams. The 4th behavior of smarter teams is to explain reasoning and intent. Make your private thoughts public. Share your intent, reasons, and viewpoints. Others may agree with you. Don't keep your reservations about something to yourself. The 8th behavior of smarter teams is discuss undiscussable issues. If you choose to disclose your reservations with one person, that's fine, but bring them to the team's attention jointly. State your viewpoint and ask questions. Imagine if the son or daughter-in-law said to their partner, "Hey, I really don't want to go to Abilene. Let's talk to Dad." It's really such a simple fix, and it can save yourself from a mass amount of issues. And so the last one is don't fall guilty to groupthink. Groupthink is defined as the suppression of opinions, facts, and beliefs that contradict the growing consensus. Don't keep these things in. Talk about your opinions, viewpoints, beliefs, and reservations. The collapse of Enron is a great example of what happens when conformity trumps critical thinking within organizations. To avoid groupthink, appoint a specific person to poke holes in assumptions and proposals. So that's all I have for you all today. Thank you very much for watching.